Welcome to the Macdownunder Podcast for all Australian Apple computer enthusiasts and collectors. Welcome to episode 17 of the Macdownunder Podcast. I'm Justin, and thanks to everyone for tuning in so far for all of our episodes and for leaving all the likes and comments so far. Please keep them coming in to let us know what you'd like to hear about in future episodes and anything you'd like us to improve. So today we're going to cover the various cameras that Apple sold as individual products. We're used to them being embedded in phones and all sorts of things these days, but originally they were an individual product, and we'll talk about that today, along with other collecting news, coming events, and recent finds. So time again to introduce my co-host, Matthew. How are you going, and what have you been up to since we saw you last?
Hey JD, g'day everyone. Good to be back. Good to be here. It's always nice when the week comes around for recording. And this last week, I've spent most of the time just getting ready for the Mac Museum opening, which is this coming Saturday, October 4th. So in the run-up, it means starting to tidy up the mess that I've made in readiness to invite people back in to check out the exhibits nicely presented. So in the run-up to that as well, I've also been doing some recordings on my Mac OS X exhibit, which is set up. So I look forward to getting those out onto the Mac Museum YouTube channel in the next, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And that will be great to populate the channel there with a couple of videos. There's not many there at the moment, but look forward to getting a couple up. And yeah, that's probably been about all the excitement for me here, JD, which is pretty tame. No new acquisitions, unfortunately, in the last week. Oh, actually, yes, there was. I had someone very generously donate a couple of iPods, and one which took my daughter's fascination, and she just could not stop commenting on how cute it was. It was an iPod Nano. And yeah, fiddling around with the touch screen, she was delighted. So yes, that was a nice little addition to the collection there. So that's about it for me, JD. What about you? What's been happening?
Yeah, the Nanos are lovely. I had quite a few in the day. I've still got them, obviously, but I actually use them day to day, and they were fantastic. I had one as a watch for a while, so
Cool.
until the
Yeah,
Apple
very
Watch
good.
came out. And the guided tours of the OS 10s will be fascinating, because I think they're out on display and people get to see them again this weekend, no doubt. But to actually have someone like yourself curate a bit of a guided tour about here's what's special about this version will be brilliant to see. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks, JD. Yeah, it has been a bit of fun putting those together. I didn't want to say too much because I'm not sure what will end up in the final cut. But it's been fun just exploring them and going into a little bit more detail. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm sure I'll give it a plug on the podcast once I've put those videos up.
No worries. Looking forward to it. So yeah, following on from last week's episode with the SE Bingo, and I was cleaning madly the various SCSI drives and other things. I've continued on that line, and I've got out almost every one of my external storage devices, or at least an example of most, cleaned them up and took some photos for the Macdownunder website. So it's not complete, but there's a lot more there. One of pretty much all the floppy drives, pretty sure every floppy drive's there now. And a couple of the external hard drives. I've still got a few to go. So it's been a bit of fun getting those out and cleaning them up. I can't guarantee they're working at the moment. That's the next step. But otherwise, a few contemporary things. And so I think we talked briefly in the news last week about iOS 26 and liquid glass. And I said I might put it on an iPad. Well, I did. Yeah, I can sort of see why people aren't too enthused. I haven't had a great experience. I mean, it works all right, but I don't think it's necessarily an improvement. But that's just me. I've taken the plunge, and nothing to do with retro, but well, I suppose it is. It's 5 years old. I bought a 2020 M1 MacBook Pro to be able to get on the road and do my notes and podcast stuff when I'm not at home, which will be handy because I am going to be traveling again shortly. So that was good, and not particularly retro, but will form part of the collection at some point.
And then I'm sure you're going to be using it to put the podcast together at some point. So there's a retro link there.
Oh, there totally is, absolutely. Whilst I was at it, I upgraded to Tahoe as well, so I'm super contemporary on that, including the most recent .01 upgrade that came out, I think, last night or yesterday. So that'll be good. And the last thing is, people might know, particularly if they've looked at the rest of the channel, that I'm into home automation using Apple Home. And what people might also know is that Apple Home doesn't support pet feeders. So if you're going to do it, you need a few workarounds. And so because we're going on holiday, we need our cats to be fed. And so we've been talking about getting cat feeders and automating them for some time. So I've got one secondhand, $50, so nice and cheap. And spent a couple of hours, and I've now got it integrated into Apple Home through Home Assistant and some scripting, which I've actually put links to on the Macdownunder website under HomeKit if people are interested. So it's for one particular model, but it's an Australian-produced version that you can get at a very large green chain store. So easy to get, not too expensive, but works with Apple Home, so I can set up how much they're going to get fed and feed them. And then I've got a separate camera, separate to the feeder to watch how they're going. So it's been a bit of fun for the week and occupied a fair bit of time, actually.
That's great. Is it compatible with all models of cat?
Yeah, well, limited to... so far, because we've got two, and one's very bossy, and so we've tested it with the bossy one because he'll just eat everything. It's the other one, the smaller kitten. Well, she's not really a kitten, but she's smaller. And so she's going to get a separate feeder, and so we need a camera to make sure she's in front of it before we dispense the feed. Otherwise, Bruce, the big cat, will take everything.
Right.
So far, Bruce has eaten out of it, and even when Bruce had enough, the other cat, Alexa, fed out of it as well. So both of them are happy to use it, which is good, but we will have to get separate feeders for each of them. Oh, so yeah, there you go. There's Pet Corner for the very podcast.
Cool. I was going to go down the path of asking about the name Alexa, so I'm glad you didn't call it Siri, because that would have just been a disaster in your household there. But
yeah, I didn't name it. It's my stepdaughter's cat, but we're minding sort of permanently at the moment. So. Anyway. So, on to today's episode. So we all know that Apple integrate cameras into just about everything. The iPad, the iPhone, the iMac, MacBooks, and high-end cinema displays. In fact, the Thunderbolt display I'm using at the moment, I'm using an iSight camera that's built into that. I think it's called iSight. Maybe it's called FaceTime these days, whatever. I think they are, actually. But before all of that, where cameras were big and bulky and required film, Apple had a new solution, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So their answer in 1994 was the QuickTake 100, and I'll just make myself a bit bigger. So I've got my QuickTake 100 here. So some of you will have seen these around. The museum's got a 150 that Matt's going to talk about in a minute. Oh, the lighting's not too good. And yeah, you turn it on by opening the lens, and there's a fixed focal length lens and a flash, space on the side for batteries and connections and so forth. So sort of like looking through a pair of binoculars when you're taking your photos. So it was one of the first digital cameras marketed to consumers, with Apple, of course, emphasizing the ease of use. So the on switch was basically revealing the lens, so you can't really get it wrong. You can't click the button and think you're taking a photo because you won't be able to see because the lens covers on. So I think that's really smart. Used 3 AA batteries. The sensor in it was a video camera sensor. Allegedly from Kodak, although apparently there's a bit of dispute about that. But people think it's very similar, if not the same one, that the Kodak DCS 100 camera used later on. It was actually manufactured by, is it Chinon, I think is how you pronounce it. So fixed focal length of 1.2 meters. No focus or zoom, although I've got some accessories we'll talk about later on. And it's the focal length equivalent to a 50mm lens, which is what a lot of SLR cameras came with in the day. Certainly mine did, because I was very heavily into SLR cameras and so forth at the time. Built-in flash with a 2.7 meter range. Auto exposure, pretty cool. Actually I did have auto exposure in my SLR, but it was significantly more expensive and and more difficult. Shutter speeds varied from 1/30th to 1/175th, and variable aperture as well of f2.8 to f16, so quite a wide range there too for light, which is great. And used a speed film equivalent of ISO 85, which we don't really talk about these days, but we used to once upon a time. So that's reasonably high definition, you would think. We'll talk about megapixels in a minute, but if you're using ISO 85 in a film camera, that'd be very high resolution, because the greater the ASA, generally the more the dots and fuzziness. I think people will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. So it could store 8 photos at 640 by 480. That's a whole whopping 0.3 megapixels. Or you could go for low resolution, so 32 photos at 320 by 240, which is a massive 0.077 megapixels. Great in the day, not so much these days. Or of course you can mix both. The photos were stored in 24-bit color, and as you can probably guess, there's no screen. There is an LCD panel on the back, but that really just gives you the photo count number, and allows you the control. So you can't preview anything. So I bought mine in 1995 when I got my first real job that was paying reasonable money. And I used it to start cataloguing my Apple collection, amongst other things. In fact, if you've had a look at the Macdownunder webpage, if you've ever wondered about the really small photos that are really low resolution, they were all taken on this camera.
Authentic. That's great.
Authentic. And I will eventually, as people might have noticed, I am slowly getting around to taking contemporary photos of a lot of those things. But a lot of those are QuickTake 100 photos from 1995. So there you go. That's the QuickTake 100. The QuickTake 150 came out in 1995. Matt's going to talk about that in a moment. But Apple provided one of their infamous factory upgrades that we're going to talk about one day. So this is actually my QuickTake 100, as opposed to QuickTake 100. This is the actual one that I had. And if you look really carefully, you will see that on the bottom it says, and maybe you can't because of the light. There you go. QuickTake 100 Plus. So it went off to the factory, you packaged it up, you sent it off, you paid your money, and sometime later, I think it was months, it came back with the guts of the QuickTake 150, which I was pining for. But I'm not going to go into that, because over to you for the QuickTake 150.
Very, very cool, JD. And the fact that it went through that upgrade procedure, again, we're going to talk about upgrades at some point, Apple official upgrade pathways that they provided for hardware. But the fact you had to send it off and wait for it to come back, that's pretty cool. You wouldn't imagine too many people went through that process. Do you happen to recall what the cost was?
Oh, I have no idea. It was certainly cheaper than buying another one.
Yeah,
or I wouldn't have done it. But it was a few $100s from memory, but it's very vague. It was back in the 90s, so it's a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, yeah. Look, as you mentioned, JD, the museum here, I'm happy to have a couple of 150s. So I got one here, which for the most part looks very similar. It's in its original packaging, plastic wrap that it came in, because I'm lucky enough to have bought this from somebody that kept everything very beautifully. This came from a gentleman in Queensland. His name's John. I've mentioned him before because he very generously donated quite a few things to the museum, which I'm very grateful for. But very, very similar in shape. In fact, it's I think identical to the 100. This was my first. The first time that I got my hands on a QuickTake, and I was actually surprised. And we've got sort of a if you can sort of see a size comparison there compared to my hand, quite manageable. I actually thought they were a lot bigger when I saw them in photos. So I was delighted to get this 150, and it's I've got the packaging here, which I can show off as well.
Very nice, even with the sold sticker still on it.
Sold sticker, which I actually suspect might have come from cash converters. Yeah, there's the packaging and showing all the wonderful things that you can do on it. I won't go through a full unboxing, but the 150 in terms of specifications, that improved the file compression technology that was in the unit, um, and quality size 16 best quality or 32 standard quality images that were capable of being stored in the one meg of built-in storage. So regarding the sensor, and JD, I'm grateful for some of the research that you helped me with here. Need to refer to the notes because this was all a lot of new information for me as going through this. But yeah, the same sensor as the Kodak DC40, which was released, so we understand. Although apparently it was masked in this, and it didn't use its full resolution, we understand. So there was the included Photo Flash software for Macintosh, or Photo Now for Windows, which brings me to the other show and tell that I was going to put up. And this, let me see if I can get that in the camera there. This is no good if I don't get the label, which actually says for Windows. So
for Windows.
This, yeah. So this is a QuickTake 150, and up there, yeah, you can see it labels specifically as the Windows version. This one is generously on loan from a friend of the museum, Declan. Thank you for allowing me to display that down here alongside the Macintosh version. But there was a separate version for customers that wanted an Apple digital camera, but were using Windows. So I was interested to see, completely new box product. I know that was the case with the early iPods as well. So just for a sort of a future reference there, Apple had different boxes for the Windows or for the Mac version, depending on which operating system you were using for your iPod.
Well, you would have needed a different cable too for Windows, because the serial cable would be different. And as you've already mentioned, the software is different. So it is a completely different bundle, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's it. So it's I think it's cool to be able to have them side by side here down at the museum. But just another couple of little observations. I was going to say, JD, when you were going through some of the specs there, which apply to both the 100, the 100 plus, and the 150. No preview window as you mentioned, but that wouldn't have been terribly different to if we were using just a film camera at the time as well. So
that's right. You take your photo and you wait to send it to the chemist for the developing and come back a month later, and then you find out, was it a good photo or not?
That's right, exactly. So we're just it's something that we're just used to these days, being able to take a photo and check and see immediately what it looked like. But back in the day, even with the early versions of these digital cameras, it was very similar in process to the film camera, except you didn't have to, that's all right, pay to go and get the film developed and find out they were crappy photos.
And this is one of the reasons why I bought mine, was you cut out that middleman though. So whilst you couldn't preview it, and we're going to talk about the QuickTake 200 in a minute, but whilst you couldn't preview it, you could run to your computer straight away, download it and have a look and say, oh, I buggered that one up, I need to go and take another one. So, that was a huge advantage for me. Low resolution, but gee, you knew what you got pretty quickly.
That's it. And if you had your PowerBook at the time with you, you'd be able to do it. Think about how much of a boss you would have been having your PowerBook and your QuickTake to be able to do these things on the road. So pretty cool.
for those of you who have been with us for the whole journey, you might have picked up a few things. That when I got my first big job, I bought a Newton, I bought a QuickTake, and I bought a PowerBook 3400.
There we go. Yeah. So you were living the dream, JD.
I was. I hadn't been for so long, and then everything new and functional and electronic. I was in the new wave. Yeah.
Big bucks as well. So so there we go. So I think last detail I was just going to mention is that there was a separate close-up lens that changed the focus range from 25 to 36 centimeters, and diffused flash appropriately as well. So, yeah. Speaking of accessories as well, JD, I think you've got a couple there.
I was going to say, funny you should mention the close-up lens, because you'll see in a minute. But some of the accessories. So with the 150, there was an Apple branded bag. You can just see the Apple logo there on the top. So that's the camera bag, which is big enough to fit your QuickTake 150. This is where mine's hiding at the moment. But if you have a look, it's also in a padded leather pouch for protection, and looks very nice.
That would be the travel case.
The travel case, it is. That's it. And you got the box.
There's the box.
So the other thing you can keep in there, because there's space, is, as you mentioned, the close-up lens. So I've got a couple, because I got one with my Plus upgrade. So not only do you get a close-up lens for the camera, you get a bit of a close-up bit with little there's little marks in it, so that when you're looking through the parallel viewfinder, because it's not an SLR, you're not looking at the image, you're looking at the same space through a different set of lenses. There's some lineup guides that you look through and you say, that's where the photo will be that I'm taking. People that are used to the old Instamatic cameras will remember doing that, probably, if you've got no hair like me. And then there's a diffuser for the flash, so that the flash is wider angle for the close-up lens. So they really thought about how to make that all work. So that came with your 150. Now, some other accessories. There's your QuickTime battery charger. So space for 4 AA batteries. You only needed 2 for your QuickTake, but there was a battery charger with Apple batteries. They've long since gone. There was the battery extender pack. So took 8 AA batteries to keep the camera running longer if you really wanted to. So that's there as well. What else do we have? The AC adapter, I didn't bother showing that because it's actually when you get this nice big box that says QuickTime battery booster pack. No, sorry, AC adapter, but it's in fact a PowerBook 100 power adapter. It's exactly the same model number, same everything. So I haven't bothered with that too much. Now the other thing that I managed to get when I purchased this bag is some third-party lenses. So these are made by Caden. And basically what you got was this little adapter that went on the front of your camera. Now, I should have thought about how to do this before I recorded. So you open your camera up and you insert your adapter into the lens like so. And then you screw in a whole range of adapters to increase your focal range. So there's 3 lenses there that you can unscrew. I'll just leave them all connected. So you can screw them in. So with all 3 of them, that gives you 9 times magnification. And you can mix and match the 3. You can just make out the 3 layers of lens there. So never knew that existed, but it came with the user's manual and everything else. So that's really handy, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have known how they worked. And also gives you some guidance around, again, how to line up that viewfinder so that you see what it's taking a photo of. But the other thing it does is changes the focal length. So apparently, with all of this, you can actually take photos 3 inches from the lens. So you would definitely need your PowerBook sitting next to you to say, did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it?
Yes.
As you wander around the image. So so that was a nice find, because I don't think there's too many third-party things for the QuickTake. Right, so that takes us up to the QuickTake 200 in 1996. So there were quite a few QuickTakes, which is unusual for Apple with a sort of ancillary product, particularly in the 90s. So the QuickTake 200, different form factor this time. So a bit more like the traditional camera we're used to. And the big change, of course, is that it has a viewfinder on the back. So you do get to have a bit of a look. Now, it's only a couple of inches, or in fact, not even, I think it's 1.5 inches. It's small, but you do get to look at, in fact, that's the viewfinder. You get to see what you're taking a photo of, which today we're used to, but not in 1996. This was unheard of. The other thing was it used a flash card as well. So this is in fact a Fujifilm. Guess who made the camera for Apple? This is a Fujifilm 2 meg card, as it turns out, because this is in fact a camera that was made by Fuji for Apple, and they released one that looks remarkably similar with a slightly different logo in the middle of it. Great camera. Now this does have multiple focal lengths, so you can adjust it on the side. It's got multiple functions as well. So to a degree, you can set a bit about the light intensity. It's not fully manual, but it allows you to do a few things like that. You can certainly set the aperture. And of course, you can then go back and scroll through your photos. So very much like the digital cameras that we're used to today. But this was 1996 when it was brand new. So new form factor, built by Fujifilm, 4 AA batteries, so it was a bit of a power hog compared to the others. Still captured the same resolution, even though in a different form factor, and as I mentioned, bundled with a 2 megabyte smart media RAM flash card. Try saying that 3 times quickly. There was an Apple branded 4 meg one, which to be honest I haven't seen, and maybe I should look for. And the 2 meg card gave you 20 high res photos or 40 standard res photos, but they're all still 640 by 480. 46mm LCD lens, so there you go, just under 2 inches. So it's almost identical, as I mentioned, to the Fuji DS7. So if you've got a DS7, you will have seen this before. And apparently Samsung had a similar model out, all manufactured by Fujifilm. So I bought this one for my son's baby photos. So when we were expecting our first boy, I got this one so that I could, snap photos, not have to wait to see if it worked or not, be able to, very quickly move on and take others. Now, so as a result, a lot of my first son's baby photos are a little fuzzy because it's a quick take photo. But I have lots of them, thousands of them, in fact, because I could. I didn't have to worry about the number of frames I had left on the film or anything like that. I could go back and edit out and delete the bad ones and just keep the ones I wanted and then offload them to the laptop or my home computer. So that was my use case, and I've still got, in fact, he turned 21 and some of the photos that I took were on display for his 21st birthday.
Very cool.
As will my second son, who's turning 21 in a couple of days, in fact.
Wow.
So that's my QuickTime story. Now, Steve Jobs returned to Apple shortly after that. And unfortunately, the Newton, one of the other things I love, the QuickTake, which I absolutely loved, and a whole range of other things got cancelled in order to focus the business for prosperity. So sadly, the QuickTake met its demise, but certainly went on with other manufacturers. And the influence, I think, was certainly there in terms of the ease of use. And now, of course, we've got cameras in just about everything that Apple make.
That's it. Well, if we also think about the influence that digital photography had on the iLife, the digital hub, digital life strategy that Steve Jobs was so passionate about as well. You got to wonder if he maybe, I know there were probably some things that he was happy to cancel, relationships with clone manufacturers, probably the printer and scanner range as well. You don't want to be one of those people that says this is what Steve Jobs was thinking, but you wonder if he maybe cancelled the camera product, maybe with a little bit of pity for it. But that's
well, of course, the iPod Touch brought the camera back, I think, in their 3rd version. I'd need to go and check my notes again. But early on, it certainly wasn't in the first model. But the iPod Touch eventually had a camera built in, as did all the iPods by the end of their life. I don't think the final Classic did, but most of the others had a camera of some form available to them. So they weren't gone for long. But
no. I think it's worth also mentioning, if you do get your hands on a QuickTake, You need the lithium AA batteries, not the alkaline ones. So some people will, unfortunately, go and stick alkaline ones in and wonder why it doesn't work. So make sure you get the higher quality lithium ones.
Or certainly doesn't work for long.
Yes, yeah. That's it. So, well, that's our
Still
camera range then,
cameras.
isn't it? Still cameras, yeah. So, but we've got another topic here
We
related to
do.
cameras. Hey, JD.
So shortly after the QuickTake that came out in 1994, the QuickTime camera came out. Now, I didn't know about this at the time, probably because it was hideously expensive, I suspect. I'll just open the lens so you can see it. So that's the QuickTime video conferencing camera 100.
Also,
We talked about the 100 series, and we forgot about this one, so I'll have to add this back into our Apple naming conventions page. So it was included as part of the QuickTime conferencing kit, which I also happen to have, which again
cool.
I also think was hideously expensive. So that's got the conferencing software, a whole range of cables, plus the camera. And remembering that this was 1995. So you could run a QuickTime conference over Apple Talk. So that's your serial port connector networking. But you could also use it on TCP/IP, so IP in internet. You could use, there was audio and video compression built in. Now, the standard it followed was the H.261. Now, I needed to look that up because we certainly haven't heard about it for a very long time. And so it looks like that particular format had a maximum of 352 by 288 pixels. Apparently it could do more, but that's what the standard was at the time. So that brings us back to the 0.07 megapixels, so very similar to the QuickTime, to the QuickTake camera, which probably shouldn't be any great surprise. It's probably the same sensor, but I couldn't get any information on the sensor in this particular camera. Also did JPEG, Apple Video, and MACE audio as well. And remembering again that this was 1995, so well before FaceTime. In fact, FaceTime hadn't even been thought of at this point. It was QuickTime Video. So it enabled you to do point-to-point video conferencing sessions. Again, we think of that, we do, well, in fact, we're doing one now whilst we're recording this, whilst we're doing this podcast. That's it. Yep. But the big thing was you could do it over Ethernet within your office or over the internet. It also supported multi-point video conferencing with multiple people. It allowed you to share text, images, sounds, and movies. Again, no great surprise today, but we're talking 1995. You could do on-screen annotations. Sounds a little bit like MS Teams. And you can record them all as QuickTime movies. And again, Teams and other things, even Zoom that we're using, will record things now, but we're talking 1995.
Yeah, wow.
No great surprise that there were some significant system requirements for the computer you were using. So you could use your Quadra, but it had to be one of the AV models with the coprocessor in it. So the Quadra AV models, the PowerMac 7500 or the PowerMac 8500 were the things that were identified at the time. Minimum of 16 meg RAM, well, that's probably nothing these days, but would have been expensive then. And system 7.5. So, we're going well back in the history books for Apple.
JD, can you hold it up again? Can we just have another squiz at it? Because I have to say, I'm putting you on the spot there. There you go. Yeah, but I really think this is one of the more un-Apple looking devices that was released. It doesn't.
I couldn't find out who made it for them. I suspect they didn't. Or maybe they did. It doesn't say on it who made it.
Even if they, I know that we just talked about the QuickTake cameras being made by somebody else or just rebadged, but this I don't know. There's just something which makes me a bit uncomfortable when I look at this thing. So it's
well, I mean,
there's no Apple logo. Where's the Apple logo on it?
There is one on the bottom. You need to look really carefully.
Yep, there it is. So maybe that's what I'm not feeling great about, is the fact that there's no prominent six-color
They
Apple
could have
logo
put it
on
on
it.
the lens cover, you see, and just flipped it out of the way. That would have been
Yeah,
trendy.
yep.
And I was actually thinking about this before we recorded today, that it's got a very large footprint as if it was meant to be on a desk. But of course, in 1995, everyone had huge monitors, so this would have just sat on top of the monitor.
Yeah.
Mind you, it does have a tripod mount screw on the bottom as well, as the QuickTakes do too, for that matter.
Yeah. Yep.
So you could actually set it up on your tripod in the middle of the room, connected back to your Mac to do your video conference. So
very cool.
there
Thanks
you
for
go.
indulging me there, JD. That was
That's
good.
right. Something I didn't know until I saw the box, and it's like, I have to have this. I can't remember when I probably bought it in the late 90s when nobody cared. Because I suspect, again, once video conferencing became a thing, probably people jumped on the bandwagon again. So probably bought it at just the right time. But that's a nice segue for a newer version of the same thing.
Yes, which I do have one of those here at the museum as well. A nice boxed iSight, which we had come out in the Steve Jobs era. So this is here's the box, which, if you are familiar with what how an iPod was packaged at the time, this went along really nicely. So the iSight was a standalone video conferencing camera released in 2003. And while I'm chatting, I'm just going to take it out of the box here, so I can hold it up. But standalone video conferencing camera, was designed to go along the new iChat AV version, so that we could plug it into our Mac OS 10 equipped Mac and do some conferencing with people. So here's the camera itself, still in its packaging. It has been used, so it's not brand new.
I was going to say it's even got the sticky protector over the lens.
Yeah, whoever opened this, they did a very good job. I'm not going to take it any further because I'm going to actually unwrap that. So I'm now wondering, maybe it is maybe it is brand new. So there's our Apple logo on the back there, which I was upset the other one didn't have. And this one interfaced with FireWire, so a lot of bandwidth over that FireWire connection. So it could be driven by your FireWire equipped Mac. So 640 by 480 VGA resolution on this one. Custom designed 3-part f2.8 lens with 2 spherical elements. Auto exposure with a variety of shutter speeds. Auto focusing 50mm to infinity. Video capture at 30 frames per second in 24-bit color. Just to wrap up a couple of the other specs here, image delay of approximately 120 milliseconds, internal microphone with dual element noise suppression. I mentioned the FireWire 400 interface, and included in the box were a nice little plastic tube carrying case, so you could protect it if you were going to take it with you. Maybe you were going to sit at the top of your PowerBook at the time, using one of the mounts, which I'm about to just carefully pull out. There's some documentation there, as you can see. Enjoy, yes. So there are a couple of mounts, and a couple of these have been used. So it makes me again think it's just been packaged up really nicely. But there's a nice little plastic mount that could sit atop your PowerBook display, or if you had a Mac, you could attach this to the that's an adhesive piece there, which hasn't been removed, but you could attach that to the back of your cinema display, or at the I'm just trying to think now where else be back the cinema display, if you had one at the time. Have I got that right, JD? Gosh, I'm just questioning. I'm just trying to picture that now. Yeah, so
it'd stick on the back of pretty much anything, because of course the iMacs, the G5 iMac didn't have a camera when it was first released.
No, correct. So it would go on the back there as well. So There's another little adapter to be able to feed
Now
the
that you
firewire.
absolutely need. So if you're not familiar with iSights, if you don't have that, you can't connect the camera to anything, because that feeds the FireWire cable up into the camera, and actually holds the camera in position as well. So
Okay.
we've got a few iSights.
There's
There we go.
another one. That's another one. I don't have the FireWire cable in the box here, but there's another little plastic adapter for the mounts there.
So we've got a few iSights in the for sale section. So the big trick is, if it doesn't have that connector for the stands, you're in trouble. And my very first one didn't, so I had to buy another one to get the connector.
Yeah. So really cool. There's a little at the top. There's a little light that would come on, a little green light LED that illuminates when it's in use. And what was really cool, and I think a lot of people would enjoy this today, is that you could actually open and close by twisting this, would open and close the iris there. So for
the privacy screen.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say, for people conscious of the security aspect of things today, is my camera on or not? Well, physically you could twist it and close it, which was cool. And later on we saw the iSight camera integrated into our Macs. And none of the PowerPC range, aside from the last model iMac G5, it was, I think, MacBook Pro and MacBook onwards, we saw the iSight integrated into the top of the monitor, and then in the desktop range, the iMac G5, and then our iMacs Intel range there onwards.
And now they're in everything, pretty much.
Everything. That's
Apple Watch doesn't have it. HomePod obviously doesn't have it, but pretty much everything else does.
We're very well equipped when it comes to cameras these days. So, and we now, iSight turned into FaceTime in terms of the product branding that Apple uses, the product naming that Apple uses. So iSight turned into FaceTime. I do have a personal connection back with this one, JD, is because I was around at the Apple reseller I worked at the time. So I remember these coming in, and I can't remember the exact price, but they weren't cheap. So there was, like many Apple products, particularly of that era, there was a bit of a premium on the price that you paid to have one, but they sold. So I look at some of maybe the video conferencing, QuickTime video conferencing kit that you've got there, and I have to wonder how many of these actually sold at the time. The iSight did sell. I can remember, seeing quite a few of those leave the store, which was pretty cool. So, and from what I understand, people that bought them were pretty satisfied with them as well. The internet was now becoming more capable of streaming, high quality and high resolution video, and Apple could see that. So, with video conferencing was becoming I won't say mainstream, but certainly not, not like it would have been in late 90s with the QuickTime kit anyway, and the software that Apple made available with iChat AV made it, in the Apple kind of way, made it easy to do as well, which was very cool. So.
Yeah, and we've seen this before with Apple, where they launched stuff just a little bit too early. So the QuickTime conferencing camera was probably just a little early, but the right idea at the wrong time. But the iSight probably, pretty much nailed it, and then got built into everything. So
yeah, that's it. Exactly.
So, do you have an Apple camera yourself? What's your favorite? Maybe one of the ones we've shown here, or maybe you've got a favorite in your own collection. Let us know down in the comments. If you've got anything else you'd like us to talk about in future episodes, we'd love to hear about it as well in the comments. That takes us to news. This just got posted recently in the Apple III Facebook group, and I thought it was something worthy of mention, particularly with Matt's Apple III now resurrected. Yes. Is this gentleman's gone through and reverse engineered the profile hard drive interface card, which I've watched the video and I've seen the wire wrapping. It was a labour of love. I'd love to find out about the technology he used to do the reverse engineering. I'm sure if you do that all the time, you're familiar with it, but it just looked fascinating. Anyway, so he does have a YouTube video on how to do it, and he promises to provide a GitHub page with the Gerber files to make your own PCBs and the parts list. And he says he's made it all with contemporary parts, so you can make this yourself if you want. And in the don't be disheartened. In the video, he does show that he has trouble formatting the hard drive because it was formatted for Lisa, not Apple III. But in terms of interacting with the profile, it clearly works. So fantastic little project that's worth having a look, particularly if you're in the market or have an Apple III.
Cool, very cool.
Right, so time to move on to coming events. So WasFest 42 now is the next one in line. This one's in November on the 22nd, so a bit of time to go now. Again, in a private home, so if you're interested in attending in New South Wales, just make sure you contact the organisers to get the details. The Australian Computer Museum Society WA, we've mentioned this a few times now. They've teamed up with the Technology Museum of WA, and they're hinting at an event on the 18th of October. It's coming up soon, so watch the Technology Museum WA page for further information. Reconnect 2025 in Melbourne. Matt's going to, which is why we're talking about it here. Matt, over to you if you want to have a quick chat about that.
Yes, if you're a Claris FileMaker developer or enthusiast, this is a paid event, but an opportunity here in Melbourne to attend a conference to learn about all the latest with FileMaker development and technologies. So I'll be attending with some retro vintage versions of FileMaker on display on some vintage Apple hardware. So that will be my role to play there as a bit of a gag, bit of fun. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out, get along.
Fantastic. PAX Australia, the Penny Arcade exhibition, is on the weekend of the 10th to the 12th of October. I checked again earlier, and Friday and Sunday is still available, but the 3-day passes or 3-day badges are sold out already. It is $80 a day, but there will be a retro computing space, and I believe Matt's exhibiting there.
Very possibly, yeah, to be confirmed, but it is still a possibility.
Bendigo Pop Culture Expo, which doesn't look like it's terribly retro computer there. However, the reason it's come to my attention is they do have a retro gaming section as part of the expo. So if you're interested, check out the webpage and have a look. The Adelaide Retro Computing Group have got their next meeting on Friday the 10th of October in Unley, as usual, from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. They've also got the Adelaide Retro Computing Group swap meet happening at the same venue on the 29th of November, so a little bit of early warning notice for that. Technology markets, as we've mentioned a few times, their upcoming dates are still the 12th of October in Keysborough and the 5th of October coming up this weekend in Reservoir. I haven't seen any new information. This is actually from last month, and I don't know that any of these are going to have the retro computing component. Nevertheless, if you're interested in going to the technology markets, they are coming up soon.
I think November is the next retro get together.
Very good. Watch out for that one.
Yeah.
Macageddon coming up again on the 4th of October. Now they keep messaging they've still got some SE30s that are available for adoption. Well, in fact, you can buy them for a donation of $389 to the Australian Computer Museum Society. And then on this weekend, you can try to fix it with the services of Bruce from Brankus Creations. Now, I believe you can go and visit and watch for a donation to the museum, and you can live stream it on YouTube as well if you want to watch what's going on with all of that. Retro Gaming Bendigo have got their next meeting coming up on this Saturday as well, Saturday the 4th of October at St Killian's Hall. We've mentioned this a few times, not to be confused with the Bendigo Expo. That's a separate event that we mentioned earlier. Busy weekend this weekend though, Matt, because the Mac Museum's got its open day as well. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, JD. We open this Saturday. Some of the attractions for you to check out when you come down. Well, JD, you'll be there, which
I
is
will.
great. Yeah, fantastic. I know there are a couple of other enthusiasts that are coming down, friends of the museum. We should have Simon from Retro Rares, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. We should have Nick from Apples Anonymous coming down as well. And Danny will be also in attendance doing some repair work for people to observe. There's a couple of compact Macs, I think, which Danny's going to be able to look at tackling. And we've also got a special interstate visitor. Josh from Josh's Mac Museum has taken the drive down, or will be taking the drive down from Sydney and be in attendance as well, which is massive dedication to getting down here. So that will be great. If catching up with us won't be enough, then there's also a new stack of $25 MacBooks which are here for sale, which we mentioned previously. And I have also got the Mac OS 10 exhibit up and going, of course, as well. So which we've discussed. And if that's not all, I've even put a little bin out, wire bin basket with some free bits and pieces you can come and help yourself to. Not a lot of Apple related stuff, but it is tech related stuff which just needs a home. So yeah, if you're coming in and here, make sure you check that out as well. There might be something that helps you out on your computing journey. I think it's going to be a great day. The weather's looking pleasant, and yeah, look forward to catching everyone down here.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. So many reasons to be there.
That's it.
So onto the for sale section for the week. And this week I've focused on Apple cameras. What a surprise. I've had to bend the rules again, so there's a few things over $100, but I think you'll forgive me. And sadly, there's a couple of things we've advertised before, because we have talked about iSights a lot. And there's a couple that didn't get a lot of love that I've included here. So we're going to whip through them fairly quickly. But there are some bargains out there if you want them. So first up, we have a QuickTake 150. So we've both talked about those today. This one's in Victoria, in box, for $495. So not particularly cheap, but QuickTake 150s don't come up terribly often. So worth having a look at, although we do have another one in the list. Next up is a QuickTake 200. Now, I don't see these for sale much at all, to be honest. So if you like the idea of the QuickTake 200, the best of the QuickTakes from my point of view, with the viewfinder on the back, etc., this one's actually from the same seller in Victoria for $450. He's obviously got a collection of QuickTakes that he's selling off. But this one also in box, so a really good deal. So another QuickTake 150. This one's in South Australia for $250 with a listing on Gumtree.
Also an original box by the looks of things.
Boxed QuickTakes. Get them while you can. So next up, we have an iSight, new and sealed in box. So a little bit on the pricey side, but in box unopened and no batteries to be seen. So I reckon this would be a great purchase if you're into that sort of thing. $250 from WA. Next one's another boxed iSight. Now this one's been opened, but it's complete in box, $200 from Victoria. So I told you there'd be lots of iSights, there are. Next up is another boxed iSight, but this one's also got the boxed Griffin sight light, which I haven't seen much. So this is the light ring that goes around your iSight, which would be brilliant if you're using it for real work. I probably should get one for mine. And very reasonable at $20 in New South Wales. In fact, this listing is both on Facebook and Gumtree, so I'll post both links, take your choice. But $20, this should be going quickly. I'd be buying it if I was in New South Wales for sure. Next one up is an iSight webcam. This one's in Victoria with accessories, but not in a box for $49, so a little bit cheaper. This time we've got the iSight and a cable, but no stand. Remember what I mentioned about the stand? The cable alone will not hold it up. So you could probably 3D print one. $19 though, the price is right, from the ACT. And we've got the reverse here. We've got the iSight webcam, no wire, but has the travel case. Still no stand. Seems more expensive. It's $1 more. $20 from New South Wales. Now, for my money, this is the pick, and we've talked about this one before. An
It's still
iSight
here.
with the cable and the clip, the important clip. You can see it in the photo there for $5. You can't go wrong, I reckon. Particularly, I mean, even just to have it on the shelf and say, I've got an iSight, even if it doesn't work, for $5,
Yep.
the Firewire cable is worth more than $5. Actually,
Yep.
you need a Firewire cable, don't you?
Yeah, I was going to say I do. If I was in Sydney, I'd be picking that up. So
And it's got the legit Apple one too. You can see there in the photo. So
Yeah.
yes, New South Wales, $5 previously listed. Please go and buy it. Go and buy it now. And just to round out the lot, we've got a QuickTake 100 reference. So I couldn't find a QuickTake 100 for sale, but you can buy the manual for $29.95 from Queensland. Well, that's the end of a lot of QuickTake, iSight, and other cameras from Apple. This is one of the few things I've used a lot of them along the way, which is really good to be able to talk about. The photos of my collection and photos of my son, and I did use the iSight for a while. I haven't used the QuickTime camera, I've got to admit, but I've used just about everything else we've talked about today in real life at some point. Any final thoughts about Apple cameras from you, Matt, before we sign out today?
The last detail I was just going to mention, JD, was that I know I have seen online some very tasteful modifications of the modern iSight, modern camera, the iSight, to feature updated sensors and interfaces to work with modern equipment. So yeah, just looking at those sales, like that $5 one. Yes, I hope that's gone very, very quickly. Someone picks it up, but even some of those other ones, if you wanted an opportunity to, I don't condone destroying, Apple products, but the tasteful modification to keep it going is another thing that you could do with an iSight, which would be cool. But I learned a lot, as I always do in these podcasts, JD. So really cool to hear about your experiences using them as well when they were brand new tech. So yeah, another great episode and another one that I've learned a lot from.
Yep, fantastic. Great to have you with me for the journey through cameras today. So we'll be back again next week with another subject. Not quite sure what it'll be, but if you've got ideas, post them down in the comments. We've got a list, but a lot of the things on the list needs a fair bit of research and logistics. So we'll get to them. But if you've got any other suggestions, please let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our future episodes. And until we're back again next week, take care and we'll see you then.
See you Saturday.
Saturday, of course. See you Saturday.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you for joining the Macdownunder Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.